What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming back to the channel. I've got a special video for you this time with my first guest ever on my YouTube channel, Jeffrey Woodson. He runs a production company called Slickwood Productions here in St. Louis, and we've been friends for 6 years, I think now.
Yeah.
And worked on a lot of different projects together, whether he was camera operating for me or I was shooting something for him when he worked at a local church, and I worked at another church just nearby. So I brought him on today to discuss this music video that he directed, and I was the DP on. We're gonna get into it now. So yeah, tell me a little bit about your relationship with Torey and how you got this music video and the previous music video you did for him.
Yeah, so I met Torey, when he was still in high school, telling me how he wanted to get into Christian hip hop and all that type of stuff, but then he actually did it. And I was like, oh, snap. Like, he's getting featured with Lecrae and like on tour with like Reach Records and all this stuff. And so I just stayed in contact with him at that point, and then just said, hey, anytime like we can get together to collab on something, love to work with you. And it finally kind of came together on the first one. He hit me up literally like, I think a week before we were going to shoot weekend. And he's like, hey, I'm flying in 1K Few. We want to do this music video for the new single I have with him. Like, we got a really tight budget and tight time frame. Like, can we make this happen? And I was like, for you, yeah.
Yeah. So what's that music video called?
That one's called So Good.
So Good. And that did pretty good.
Yeah. Last time I checked, I think it's like up to 120,000 views on his channel.
And you shot that yourself.
Yeah.
You had a small crew, but you directed and DP'd it.
Yeah. And it was so thrown together. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to grab anybody and everybody that I know I can get last minute. And like, they came through. So, and then that one did so well that like once he sent me the track for this one that you DP'd that we're talking about now.
Yeah.
And like, soon as I heard that track, I texted him like all caps. I was like, we have to do a music video for this.
And how did you collaborate with Torey on the concept and writing the actual like treatment for the music video?
For this one, when he kind of gave me the initial idea and vision behind what he wanted to do, then at that point, then I kind of went in and started to kind of throw some ideas so that he could kind of see from what he initially said, this is just ideas I've thrown out right now before I actually like do a formal kind of treatment. And then he like looked at it. It was like, yeah, I think we're on like the right track. And then kind of went more into, okay, these are specifically kind of the shots that we want to get and like the concepts. Because this one, more so than the other one, was way more narrative.
Yeah, on this one, there's a lot more about the story of a husband and wife who are trying to get pregnant and they're struggling and they're seeing all their friends have babies or get pregnant. And the conversation between like his inner self and then like the outer self that's projecting to people, like what he wants people to see.
Right.
So then like, I was brought onto the project pretty last minute, like with 1 week left.
Yeah.
Like you were getting stressed and you're like, hey man, you know, would you want to come help? And I had already told you, I'm like, I'm down to shoot, you know, something with you, especially a music video. A few things I had noticed was like one idea was like kind of the inner self and the outer self having a conversation together. And then one was being stuck on an elevator.
Yeah.
And so we needed that location.
Right.
And then another one was kind of like the Garden of Gethsemane, like praying in that. Those were kind of all ideas you had formulated. Let's dive into the next question. When it came to the visuals, did you have anything in mind as far as like the aesthetic or like a color palette or like the mood of the video?
Yeah. So we kind of landed on overall feel really bipolar. That was kind of like one of the nomenclature we used a lot because we wanted to hit with a title Stuck on an Elevator, the internal war that a lot of times like we have our inner voice that we're battling all the time when it comes to situations. really hoping and wishing and praying to happen. And then it doesn't happen, but then they see all their friends around them, like things are popping off and happening for them. Just with that in mind, we kind of landed on this euphoria type of very vibrant color type of feel with like a lot of grain and stuff like that, because we talked about using color be the focus of evoking the emotions and go a little bit more artistic, and we want to go this color in this moment because this is the emotion that's happening in this moment. And so that's why you see in the video when it's the happy times of him with his wife, you got like a warm kind of more natural kind of color grade, and then when you go to those situations where it's like really gritty and like warring with himself, like you go much darker, a lot more color, more shadows, more contrast, to kind of show that juxtaposition.
Yeah, and I remember you also telling me that you wanted more like static shots.
Yeah.
Not very much handheld.
To have more of a movie-like feel, because since we were going more narrative with this, I, on one side, didn't want it to feel like low budget, low end or anything like that. So the times that we went handheld were very intentional for the specific moments in the video.
So you landed on a locked off look. You also had recently purchased some GreatJoy anamorphic lenses. So we wanted to utilize those. I brought on the Alexa Mini, we put those on there. We had some Aputure lights that I have is like the Aputure Nova, the 600D, and then the MCs, along with some other Pavotubes that Alex brought on, the gaffer. I guess I wanted to share kind of with the locations, you know, it's last minute and you're looking for an elevator.
Yeah.
I knew of a spot, actually. It's a funny story. There's this elevator that I really liked, the look of it, like wood panel and mirrors and everything. And I had planned a whole different spec shoot there and it never happened. I was like, I know the perfect elevator and I feel like nobody really cares if we shoot in there. And
that was surprising, honestly.
We did have a couple of times where we had to stop in the middle of shooting.
Yeah.
And shooting on a running elevator is not a fun experience. People take it up and the camera is gone, or like, you know, the AC is with the camera like 2 floors up.
Yeah.
But we made it work, and it turned out to be a nice location. And then this other location was the Post Commons and the basement, Alton. I'm good friends with the guys there and asked them if we could use it, and they came in clutch because they had a bunch of different spaces, and like one space was just kind of an empty room, and that's where, you know, we just took a bunch of plants and put it in there, and it was like on the day, and we're like, hey, we can maybe make that Garden Gethsemane. We have this kind of bluish night look, a little more exaggerated than a typical night, but we had the 600D in the back, you know, doing some lightning. I think what Alex added to that scene was this little top light to kind of highlight him. So it's not all coming from the side with the blue and then the white lightning. There's like a little bit of warmth hitting him. And he kind of, as the gaffer, that was one of his ideas. And I really liked how that came out. And it's kind of cool because it's like a little more abstract than if we actually went into the forest and shot it there. It feels a little bit more like production design. And
I love that about it, because I wanted like at least some of those to feel a little bit more surrealistic than like natural.
Yeah.
So like that scene in particular was really cool that we were able to do that with it.
Another one that I'd like to, I guess, talk about is the lighting gag. We have this shot where Torey's walking through a room. It's very warm lit. He looks at himself in the mirror and he's singing the song, and then he kind of is dancing and moving through the space. And then like when this change in the song happens, we switch to like a spotlight that's more like white or blue tone, and the warm bathed room is just gone now in that moment when he sits down. That was pretty fun to try to achieve. So basically how we did that was we had a Nova was doing like a warm wash over the whole room, kind of backlighting him for most of the angles. And then the 600D, we had to do like a DIY cone on the end. And to make a circle, I think Alex was on like the Sidus Link app, and then he would scroll the Nova completely down and then the 600 completely up. And we had to kind of balance the levels so that it didn't get blown out or underexposed.
There was a cool like one take performance shot too that in the main video we could kind of cut around to, but also release as like an optional like other version.
Another one I'd like to talk about is the bar sequence. The funny thing about that shot is Torey's cousin was just hanging out, and she was about like what, 12 or
probably
13-year-old girl,
14, something like that.
just kind of running around and doing whatever she wanted during the shooting. And just cracking jokes at our crew and everything. And well, she was back behind the bar and she was like acting like she was serving people Cokes and stuff. Well, I just happened to have the camera there, and then I saw that shot and just the way that the orangish red and the green and then the bokeh from like all these string lights that were already in the room was all playing, and without her there, I don't think I would have seen that. And I'm like, dude, check this out. You know, this shot is sick.
That one was great because one of the things that we're incorporating in pretty much every one of Torey's videos that I'm directing is this motif with mirrors. At first we were like, well, should we shoot it straight on or should we like do the reflection of the mirror behind it? And then when you saw that with his cousin, then we were like, yep, definitely shooting it from the front.
That's right. So that's a really cool one. And then I think the one that is, I guess, the crutch of the whole piece is the table setup. And so for that shot, we basically had like the Nova and the 600. I wanted a light kind of right from behind. That one was pretty simple. We had it locked off, and then we shot the one side of the table. One was more like a manic, kind of the internal version of him that's freaking out. And then one that's more like calm and collected, the outer version that he's projecting to people. And then we basically had to shoot the wide, change clothes, and shoot the other version of him in the wide. And then do the two close-ups. And I remember you also saying you wanted kind of the close-up of the manic from like a very high position. What was your kind of thought process in that?
So my thought in that was like, even though he's trying to be all like boisterous and all this kind of stuff and be crazy, like shoot him from a higher angle to also kind of show like, okay, you are going crazy, but you really don't have so much power to actually change the situation until you actually like do something from the outside. Because it's nice the way you lit it, the light just like falls off the background to where it helps him to like even pop out even more. It felt claustrophobic too because we didn't go super wide on that height. That was kind of like the one shot that if we didn't get any other shot, we had to get that shot.
That close up.
Well, actually just the table shot.
The table shot.
Yeah, because that one was kind of, like you said, was the whole like linchpin of the entire video.
And then one other, I guess, in the moment story I wanted to share before I wrap up is we were shooting the hallway stuff, which also like was pretty crazy. We tried to do like a Komodo with the Ronin, and then we ended up going handheld with the Alexa and running backwards while Torey's falling in different, and I'm having to go left, right. I took a step out. It was really cold that day, and I wanted to just catch my breath for a couple minutes before we get back to shooting. And then I looked over, and I saw this like interstate with all these moving cars and like all these lights. And I was like, Jeffrey, what if we just like shot that, like performance of him just kind of singing straight into camera? We have all that bokeh in the background. I really wanted to showcase these GreatJoy lenses. I had never used them before, so it also was kind of a test for me, like what they were like. And you have a 35, a 50, and an 85, and they're all 2.9. Is that right? 2.9.
2.9, 1.8 times squeeze. And
They're
Man.
small too. They're like 82 millimeter front.
I mean, they have like a 270-degree focus.
We took Torey out there, and I just threw up a Pavotube, and we set it to like a color cycle.
Yeah.
You see all the different colors in the background, and then his face is kind of slowly changing colors. I think that was really cool. So yeah, I'm really proud of the shots that we got, and with such a small crew, small amount of lighting, 2 amazing locations, 2 days of shooting, and you know, different setups made it look interesting and hopefully accomplish your vision.
Yeah. Even just from his last video to this one was just like another level as far as like production quality, looks, like theme and concept, like everything just kind of came together on this one. This is like a huge team effort with everybody and collaborating with Torey. Like he was super happy.
Awesome. I will definitely link that video down in the description. And thanks for coming on, Jeffrey. It was great to have you. Everybody go check out Slickwood Productions, see what they're doing. We also did a short film last year.
Yeah, which is actually doing really good.
That's been going through the festivals. It's been getting into quite a few of them. And then you recently shot another short film.
Yep.
And you've got something else in the works too. So you're a busy man.
Yeah, this year is I'm pushing a lot of Slickwood Productions, like a lot more full force.
Again, thank you for coming on. If you like this video and you like this format, let me know in the comments, because I'd like to do more of these, bringing on different DPs or directors in my area and talking with them about different projects. And this one just so happened that we both collaborated on it. But yeah, like, subscribe, do all this stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.